For those who don't know me, I am Matthew Hazel. Deborah, Debbie, Lynn, Hazel's son. It's rather noisy out, ain't it? I join you today on this very noisy Christmas Eve morning. It is Wednesday, December 24th, 2025. Oh my goodness. You see, every year my family, what was left of it, we liked to have a Christmas Eve at home where we would put on some Christmas tunes and share our gifts. That was our tradition. We would save Christmas Day for visiting relatives because a lot of them still only celebrated Christmas on Christmas Day, and it was the only time they had off. My family, without a question, was a hard worker. I know I'm using singular rather than plural, but it was mostly just my mom and my grandma. Between those two of these women, where grandma is still alive, between those two women, here am I. Fat and rounded, able to speak into some fancy camera and some fancy microphones. But I want you all to know one thing. They didn't buy me these directly. This camera and this microphone were bought because of what was left in my mother's account after she died. And as a result of the disability payments that have been paid to me only after that my mom died. Yeah, these are government funded. They just don't know it. But we live in times that me even saying this could land me in some sort of trouble. Saying that I have a husband. Saying that I have housed a trans person. Saying that I am okay with foreigners is enough to send me to jail for some reason. And somehow our great leader, who has a list of crimes that you need a spreadsheet to track it, still remains in power and is attempting to name ships and is attempting to exert power that somehow he has stolen from my nation. I can't be happy this Christmas. I don't get to share gifts with my mom. My grandmother has gone to Florida, where she is enjoying the warmer weather because her health somehow still remains strong, but with the assistance of the sun's light. She avoids this loud and noisy stretch of street here in my hometown of Bowling Green. And I have to ask, what more do we need to do as a nation? What more do we need to do as a people to correct this nonsense? To stop those with far too much money from destroying those who have little to none proportionally. Even with my fancy camera, even with my fancy equipment, I am still amongst the poor. These are the nicest items I own. And at the current rate, they will be all I ever own. Next to my vehicle, which was got because a corporation sold me a bung car that I had to get rid of, and thankfully the dealer cut me a deal, but perhaps they did not. We live in times where I have to be incredibly skeptical of anything worth buying, perhaps. There is no honesty or truth left in this world. At least in mine. If you live in an area where honesty and truth still reign supreme, and where criminals actually do go punished and horrible people are still punished, congratulations. I am happy for you, and I truly do wish you the merriest of holidays, whatever they may be. But no, down here in Kentucky, deep in the red, deep in the hell that is conservative territory, I, a perhaps blue-blooded American, still exist, crippled, disabled, and somehow still going. I would be proud that I have survived such a terrible regime up until this point. I would be proud that I am using everything at my disposal to shout amongst the heavens and shout to the void to try to correct this nonsense that we call a land. But yet I simply stand here next to my mother's grave, tired, worn out, and if it weren't for my hard-working, bootstrap-making husband, I would not be here. And yet, already legislators in Texas are deciding whether or not to make my type of marriage even legal or not, on the basis purely that, for religion, for the very same Christian holiday that I still celebrate despite not really being a Christian, and I'm not really celebrating it commercially because I can't buy anything. And you may be arguing, well, you're holding fancy equipment and you could sell that. You're asking me to sell the last thing that my mother left me as a gift as she parted this world, as she lay dying in a Florida hospital? As somewhere over the rainbow plays out loud over the phone speaker. That's all I could hear. I could not be with her in Florida. I could not be with her in her final moments because I was working hard at my university, trying to become some kind of film student, some kind of director, some kind of American dream that I hopefully held on to, but now those dreams are dying and crashing to the floor. And no one is listening. No one is doing anything. Everyone's too afraid to stand up. Everyone wants decorum. Everyone wants peace. They don't want to rock the boat and cause destabilization or civil war. Well, this is the cost of silence. A man has to yell and scream at his mother while he stands next to his mother's grave. Unscripted, no script, no anything, because he can't even afford the damn paper. What is wrong with you? Stand up. What more do we have to do? How much louder do we have to scream? How much more do we have to do as a nation? How many last parting gifts do we need to use to finally correct course? What more do we need to do? For those who have still listened and have not turned away, and I still have your ears, grab those who have turned away and have stopped listening to my sad tale. Force them to listen to it. Tell them this is the damage that they are causing. Tell them that we are on the path of ultimate destruction as a nation. Tell them that we are on the absolute horriblest path. All because some religious zealots decided that they have power again, like they did in the Dark Ages. And do we really, as a species, want to go back to that Dark Ages while those who are in power have control of a great weapon, who they think the God is in the machine? Are you going to let them do this? Are you going to let them win this bad? It's like you're just sitting there on the football field, letting the other team score point after point after point. You wouldn't watch this game, and I can tell most of you aren't. You buried your heads in sand, in the dirt, into wherever the heck you hide, in your bunker, in your little hideaway cottage out in the middle of country nowhere. Away from all the turmoil that actually affects real human beings that are just happen to be a little geographically farther away from you. You're hiding like cowards, waiting for this whole storm to blow over. What more do we have to do? Why does a disabled man have to stand in front of his mother's grave to tell you these things? There is no reason for this level of absolute desperation. I thought we were America. I thought this was the land of opportunity, but all I see is the land of despair. And don't you dare tell me I am too comfortable. I am fat because of terrible foods that have been shoved down my throat because I can afford nothing else. I have these things, like I said, because my mother died. And this is what she left me, money. Just a little bit of money. And you know what I did? I bought a used camera. I bought I bought everything I could on the best deal possible to make sure my money stretched as far as it could. But we are a rubber band that is about to break, a pot that is about to boil over. And my God, we want to settle this without violence. But you all are gonna make it impossible. You Reds who sit comfortably raping children. Or at least turn a blind eye to overwhelming evidence that horrible crimes are being transpired. I don't know what to do. And do you really think that a disabled man should be the one who has to say this? You don't look disabled, you may say. Yeah, I don't look it. I hide it. Purposely. Because I know how you feel about the disabled. You think we're all vampires or leeches or some other ungodly force trying to rip you away from your sky daddy, who is going to somehow provide you a wonderful life for being racist, homophobic, and just outright horrible to your fellow human being, your fellow God's creation. Whether you like it or not, people with differences that are not white absolutely are God's creation. At least as far as I can tell, based on my looking and reading of the Bible, that you don't. What more do we need to do? I don't want to consider the more. You all sitting in military with weapons that can end nations. Look at what your leaders are doing to the American people that you have sworn to protect. You all should be ashamed that you let a threat from within win this much. I am disgusted with you. I thought you were better than this. You've turned out great people. But I have never seen such cowardice. I've never seen such fear or inaction. Perhaps it's tactical. Tactical inaction. Well, your inaction is leading to people dying. People being carted off to El Salvador to be tortured and raped for the crime of having a different skin color. And you have fat bastards who look like me, but they pretend to be you, running around and hurting and doing God knows what to people. And you're sitting there doing what? Listening to the man who is perpetuating this? What is wrong with you? What more do the American people have to do to get you to get off your ass and get those boots on the ground and remove these terrible people? What more? Why do I have to swear on my mother's grave that I'm swearing the truth and nothing but the truth? If I had a Bible, I'd swear on that too. What more? What more? I am so disappointed in my nation, so disappointed in the world that I live in. We could have so much prosperity, so much equality, so much abundance, healthy people, We could have it all. And all you gotta do is remove this sore on our nation's backside that has haunted us since the Civil War. I don't want another civil war. I don't want another nation split. I just want a stable and real, tangible nation that I am proud of. I don't want to dismay as I look at an American flag. I don't want to just sit there and agree with our enemies that would do nothing but burn and destroy our flag and our wonderful nation. I don't want to sit there and agree with them. But right now, I'm having a real hard time. My liberties are in danger. Minorities' liberties are just being executed. And for what? For what? I don't understand. I get the world is harsh and unfair and absolutely disgusting at times. But usually because it's nature doing what nature does. We've all seen a poor animal who was innocent and pure, destroyed by, a predator who was simply hungry. We've seen that. We know that. We know that as a people. We know that as a species, that we're part of that ecosystem. We know that. And we take steps to minimize it. Where's our steps for our own species? Where's that? Why can't we minimize the predators that haunt our nation, who have no empathy left due to years of rampant drug abuse and general human-on-human abuse and being isolated from those who could do them possible harm? I'm not saying stand up, march down to wherever and, hurt or kill these predators. You just need to stop them. Matter of fact, I firmly believe that killing them will just make our nation divide even further. We need to put them on camera and make them confess. You don't even need to torture them to do so. You don't even need to hurt them. You just need to have them face the people that they avoid and are isolated in their ivory towers from. But they're gonna run. You will have to probably hurt some of them because they'll do everything in their power to hurt us for the mere audacity of calling them out. What more do we gotta do? What more? My name is Matthew Hazel, son of Deborah Lynn Hazel. Who now rests over the rainbow, finally being able to enjoy an existence that isn't this terrible, terrible nation.